But tonight, I want to talk not about my emails, but about what the American people want from the next president of the United States.
That the American people are sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that was probably the most interesting exchange of the evening. Wouldn't you guys agree? What do you think? Did Bernie help himself or hurt himself in giving Hillary a pass on the emails, Joe?
He showed he didn't want to win this race, in my opinion. He could have just kept his mouth shut, but to go in there and give her a lifeline, it reminded me of Chris Christie giving President Obama a big hug at the Jersey Shore right before Sandy. He could have invited the president to the obviously the Jersey Shore to survey the damage, but the hug was over the top, just like Bernie was over the top there. He didn't have to lecture anybody on that we don't want to hear about the damn emails anymore.
Well, Jonathan, didn't it also show that Bernie Sanders is a straight-up guy and just spoke his mind?
No, I think what it showed is that he's incompetent, too incompetent to be president of the United States, because if he thinks that this is a little thing and it's just her damn emails, then he doesn't need to be president of the United States, because he's going to be in charge of our foreign policy and national security, and she injured our national security.
Tom, you go with the flow on this?
I go with both of them.
Yeah? Okay.
First of all, he certainly didn't want to win, because he had the opportunity from the national stage really to get at the ethics. He had her on the flip-flopping, but he could win at the character issue. Character matters, and it should matters in a president, and the rule of law also matters. So she got a complete pass, and I was really surprised.
Well, it didn't make any sense.
You're all wrong. You're all wrong.
I'm shocked.
The point he was making was, let's talk issues, let's stop with the emails already, but there are going to be a lot of people out there who don't think you're wrong.
The FBI.
A lot of people won't. The FBI
could
could be among them. Fair enough. Well, you know, the nation is still abuzz over last night's Democratic debate, but there is still news being made on the Republican side of the political equation. In fact, some got made today. A new Fox News poll shows that Jeb Bush is finally ahead of Donald Trump. Wow. But maybe not the way Governor Bush would have hoped for. According to the Fox poll, 22% of likely Republican voters now say they will never vote for the former Florida governor. Donald Trump, who had previously had a sky-high 59% in that less than ideal category going back to June, has dramatically improved those numbers to just 18%. So, 22% taking the survey say they will never vote for Jeb Bush, while only 18% say they couldn't bring themselves to vote for Donald Trump. Not exactly thrilling news for the Bush campaign. Now, guys, we've asked this question before, but you know, we're going to keep asking it until the fat lady sings or Jeb Bush drops out of the race. What can Jeb do, if anything, Tom, to bring back his numbers and to turn this thing around?
I don't think so. I think when you have negatives like that, it's really going to be really, really hard to do that. And we heard Dick Morris refer to that the establishment class really doesn't understand what's going on in the electorate. And when you're talking about the Republican grassroots activists, establishment is out. We've seen that with who's leading the polls in the Republican field.
But you know, Jonathan, establishment is out until it comes time for the establishment to decide, look, this is all fun and games, but we need a candidate who can actually beat the Democrats. And those are the people who have money. And you know where most of those people live, strangely enough? In blue states. The Republicans with all the money are in California and in New York. At some point, don't they sit down and say, hey, this may be all fun, but we're going to get beat if we don't elect a candidate like Jeb Bush, who they give the money to?
I think what you're saying is very interesting, because I agree with what you're saying about him being unpopular amongst the, I guess, the normal people. Right. Now, this ruling class that is in the Republican Party, it's going to come down to whether or not they have the power to persuade with their money.
I think that's a very fair point. Is this the year where the outsiders overcome the norm, Joe, or do we go back to the way it always is?
We've seen it with Herman Cain. We saw it with, obviously Michelle Bachmann.
We're about at that time in the cycle where those people show up.
Yeah, but I don't see it happening, because while Trump may be falling back just a touch, the person that's pursuing him now is Ben Carson, another outsider.
Well, it may be happening because that same Fox News poll also shows that Dr. Ben Carson and the Trump are now virtually tied for the GOP nomination. According to that poll, just 3 percentage points, a number within the margin of error, now separate the billionaire business mogul from the former neurosurgeon. With Donald Trump sitting at 26% and Ben Carson at 23%, what does this tell us about the state of the GOP race? Which one of you wants it? This one's up for grabs, guys.
Let me say this one thing real quick. Maybe it's just me, but I don't trust that poll because it's with Fox and they hate Trump. So, you know, I just think...
And you actually brought a CNN poll that showed a different number.
Yeah,
Is that
CNN,
today?
yeah, CNN ORC says that Trump is at 38% and that Carson is at 22%.
How recent is the poll?
He just posted, Trump
Today.
just posted that today.
So
Well, but we don't know when it came
Right.
out, though.
As
Okay.
as the media guy here, so you're accusing a major news outlet of altering a poll
It could never
because
happen,
they
I know.
don't like somebody. Look,
Well, to
there
be
are a lot
fair-
of people
to
at
be
home that
fair,
agree
it's
with
not-
you right now.
It doesn't have to be altering. It can be the way you ask the questions.
Or who you
That's
ask.
how you can skew a poll.
Yeah, I get it. I get it with
Yeah,
certain
but
polls,
also-
but here it's who will you vote for?
Yeah, but then if it was
Right.
rigged, you
It's-
expect
I don't know how you alter it.
Fiorina to be up like it was the last time.
Yeah.
I think you've seen movement, which kind of reflects kind of the mood of the country.
Well, what about what we were just talking about a second ago versus the power group versus your basic person? Who did they ask these questions of? Was it the power group? Of course, Trump's going
Yeah,
to
but Trump's negatives came down though. Dramatically,
Yes,
went
they
from
did.
59 down to 18.
In the short time we have left, one word answer. Joe, do either of these candidates get the nomination, Carson or...
Trump, I believe.
You think Trump will?
All
And you
bets are
think
off.
all
Anything's
bets are
possible.
off? Well, I say neither, then put the nomination.
I'm good off
But
the
we'll
hook there,
see.
by the way.
All right, we want you to share your thoughts on the latest Fox News poll by going to newsmaxtv.com/comments. Coming up, a very interesting story. Is a refugee crisis coming to America? You don't want to miss it.